Now, the Brits are sure talking tough against the Ruskies, but something makes me feel that they definitely wouldn't do that good against them. Yeah, look at all those portly, curious, weird, androgynous, eugenicized soldiers? Yep, that's the state of American foreign policy and the geopolitical situation on our hands right now that is getting very weird and complicated, to say the least, here, specifically with the latest crazy developments that are happening right now between Russia and Ukraine. There's also some big developments now happening with Iran. Pakistan and India are about to go at it right now, as we got some very interesting talking points between China and the United States, as those two countries also look like they are at odds with each other. But predominantly, I wanted to focus on what's happening right now in Ukraine. We're going to hopefully get into all of these particular topics. But right now, when it comes to the very sad, eye-opening, desperate situation for Ukraine, we're dealing with something that a lot of very powerful people are doing what they can, trying to stop this senseless war that has been going on for far too long and should have never stopped. As Donald Trump came out and said Crimea will stay with Russia, as he yesterday publicly announced Vladimir Putin to stop bombing Kiev. And now what we have on our hands is the Ukrainians, along with their CIA-trained proxies and private mercenaries, going after and assassinating a top Russian general inside of Russia in another apparent terrorist attack that took his life in a car bomb. All of this is happening as Donald Trump's envoy is meeting with Vladimir Putin in Moscow. As a couple days ago, it's fair to assume that Russia sent the message to Kiev. Kiev is sending this message back, showing that, yeah, we are going to covertly go after some of the highest ranking members of the Russian military and government, like they have previously beforehand. As the last time they did this, they used a scooter to blow up a top Russian general that was warning about the biolab weapons that were being built there since 2014 in Ukraine with the help of the United States and, of course, Dr. Fauci. Curious how Dr. Fauci just got a pardon all the way from 2014 at the same time. That's just the coincidence. You know, don't question, don't believe anything, as this is a major event here. This is just one of many attacks that covert agents within the Ukrainian military, or probably CIA-trained proxies or private mercenaries, have been conducting inside of Russia, which are terror campaigns. And we have seen journalists, reporters, even people who are the daughters of big prominent political figures, along with military generals, being targeted in these attacks that are very nasty, very covert here, as it's fair to assume, just like Russia bombing Kiev, Ukraine assassinating and terrorizing the Russian top brass also is going to derail the peace talks here a little bit. As, of course, nothing says, hey, we're ready to sit down, like covertly terrorizing and assassinating people in what looks like these attacks that are straight out of the CIA playbook. Now, again, this is the moment that a lot of people are saying was where the Ukrainian peace deal was just blown to pieces. Is that exactly what happened here? As these are kind of very sneaky, underhanded attacks that play up to some of the strengths of the Ukrainians. As the Russians could bomb city centers, the Ukrainians, as they're running low on supplies, as now they're dependent on the Europeans and portly fellows like this that aren't as giving for some strange reason as the United States. I wonder why. But they are doing a lot of covert actions as the smaller force, the smaller country, as the country that has less people and less military equipment to fight the Russians. they're using sabotage attacks and covert options in order to try to have an advantage here. And there is something to say about these type of terror attacks on soil, hunting and going after people in their everyday lives that are not on the battlefields, which personally I don't think is the kind of best way to approach this personally myself. But what other options would you say the Ukrainians have here would be their rebuttal, as this is a war and there's a lot of rules that are being followed and then quickly not being followed in this state of war. All of this as we are now getting reports in the making of this video that Kremlin aides are saying that talks between Moscow and the United States were, quote, constructive and useful. Now, what are they discussing? They're discussing some very interesting kind of deals here, as right now we're finding out that the United States will provide recognition of new annexed Russian territory that was previously Ukrainian territory. But the thing with the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, I think really plays into a lot of this. But if you're the losing side, you don't really get to set the negotiation guidelines here. But Ukraine is setting a lot of the negotiation guidelines here, as we just had Ben Shapiro interview Volodymyr Zelensky. A very interesting interview. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the kind of deals that are being offered up and made here. Before we do, we wanted to tell you about our Arrange Day, May 4th, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very challenging, and it's something that I purely do really enjoy. It's been a hobby of mine for quite a long time, and I want to share my hobby with you. And there's this one particular great, amazing organization that does next high-level training. No matter what your kind of expertise and understanding levels are, we of course are able to go to this Range Day where you're going to have some of the best instructors literally in the United States come to you and be like, okay, this is how you should improve your skills. We're going to test it out here, and we're going to do it in an extremely safe, comfortable fashion where no matter what your skill levels are, you are going to leave there being like, wow, I can't believe I learned this. I want the best of the best to come in, but even if you're a newbie, even if you only shot a few times, come out because you will be able to gain a huge amount of experience. But if you're the best of the best, prove it. Come out. May 4th, we're doing a Range Day for members of LukeUnfiltered.com to come. Like what she said. You go to the description. You click the description. You go over here to this website. You sign up for whatever you feel comfortable signing up for. You click here, fill in your information. You put in your email. You check your email spam. Then you log in, and then we tell you the details of where to register. I think we only have 5 spots left. So 5 spots are left. May 4th, Range Day here in South Florida. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, I think it's a Sunday. Yeah, it's a Sunday, 1 to 5 p.m. It's going to be next level outdoor type of stuff where we really get to do some really fun, exciting stuff. So if you're ever just even curious about self-defense, this is the place to go to. And I can't believe I'm sharing this stuff with you guys, but I am. And this is just something that's been a personal hobby of mine for quite a long time, and I really do enjoy it. As the world is a dangerous place, and knowing how to defend yourself, I think, is absolutely mandatory, especially now with these conflicts erupting and going as haywire as they have here. But this is the interesting part during the negotiations that are happening right now. As some people are saying the negotiations are not going to go anywhere, the United States said that they're going to be walking away from this, and there's a high level of emotion here, but Ukraine here, who, let's just be honest with ourselves, is losing this battle. Ukraine here, who has a significant disadvantage, doesn't have enough manpower, doesn't have the equipment. Ukraine here that is being fluffered up by Europe, but not given the full release like the United States was given it before. The United States was, here's all the aid, here's all the weapons, here's all the missiles, we'll give you the best stuff. The Europeans are like, what can you give me in return? How much interest rates could we do? We could be a little loan. We'll give you some, but no. We want it back. We want whatever we get. We want it back with interest, please. And they're not as gracious as the United States was, obviously, as they have welfare they have to pay for. They have to pay for their new citizens that they're importing in to replace their local population. They have to pay for all that. who's going to pay for the Zimbabwean's drug habit and apartment that, of course, he's not going to, pay for himself. He's not going to get a job. He's going to have to be paid for by the taxpayer of Europe, and they have to spend their money on that. Of course, that's a lot more of a better way that they decided to spend their money than to spend it on actual defense and military spending. Now, this is why this is not a good situation. And Ukraine trying to set the guidelines here. This is why Donald Trump has been saying the Ukrainians don't hold the cards here. They're on the losing side here. The losing side cannot get everything that they want. And that's why the Ukrainian delegation went to the media and said, Trump wants us to give up Crimea. We are not giving up Crimea. And Trump's like, Zelensky's sabotaging this stuff. Because he is. You don't go behind the back of negotiations and release public information unless you're just trying to sabotage it. And the United States is coming to Ukraine being like, look, this is not good for you guys. You guys are going to get your butt kicked. Please save yourself as you still can. And during this deal here, we have the United States recognizing Russian control of Crimea, Russian control of Luhansk, Russian control of Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Kherson. Ukraine will regain their territory in Kharkiv. But the very interesting situation would be how the Ukrainians would regain control of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant through U.S. control and the administration of the plant with electricity that would be distributed to both sides, to Russia and to Ukraine, as they will also be operating the Kharkovka Dam. Now, the dam situation was one of the things that sparked off this war, as the Ukrainians cut off the water supply to Crimea. And by shutting off the dam, they rerouted the water and created a very awful situation for the people of Crimea. They had to literally import fresh water. The Ukrainians also will, quote, enjoy unhindered passage on the Dnipro River and control of the Kinbar split. Now, that's what's being negotiated here, as well as Ukraine not joining NATO, but Ukraine joining the European Union. Now, that seems, listen, it's a deal that isn't the best of deals for the Ukrainians, but what they have with the cards that they have, great deal. Listen, you might like it or might not like it. It's a deal. If it's a deal that stops this onslaught. And I think this deal prevents Ukraine from losing future territories in a few weeks and months from now, as the Russians are preparing another offensive here. Now, there's still some questions about, hey, all that money that we were very generous with and all the aid that we were very generous with, do we know where it went? As right now we have a Zero Hedge article that's pretty good that says, funniest thing I've read all day, Elon Musk mocks Zelensky for claiming every U.S. taxpayer dollar is accounted for. Now, that's interesting because a couple of weeks ago, Zelensky was coming out and saying, hey, there's so much money missing. I don't know where it went. I have no idea where it went here, as he is claiming that any questions about this is Russian misinformation. We saw CBS News literally go there and say, yeah, huge military equipment is missing. Then they, of course, rebutted it after the Ukrainians told them to shut up. And Donald Trump, brought this up. The Republicans brought this up. Ben Shapiro, and asked about him, just kind of accepted his answer here. And then Roger Stone gave a good clap back, saying, Zelensky is full of ish. I've seen hard evidence to the contrary. Although I disagree adamantly with Ben Shapiro, I still respect him, and I cannot believe that he believes this. Yeah. This would be the time where Ben Shapiro would have kind of pressed back, but he kind of accepted the answer here from all the reports that we're getting from this particular interview here, as there's also U.S. intel agencies sharing information about how, there's just advanced U.S. military hardware with the cartels now in Mexico, right on our border. And Elon Musk's kind of response here sums up the kind of weird relationship that we have right now with Ukraine, which the United States says soon that they are willing to, of course, leave the negotiations table with and just fully leave on their own. Now, we're getting a lot of important details here about what is being negotiated, as the United States is seeking a quick end to this war. as U.S. officials are doing their best here to try to appease all of the sides here. And U.S. officials are meeting with Europeans, Ukrainians, individuals within the government of France, within the government of the United Kingdom, as there's proposals, counter proposals set out, as now we are seeing the kind of negotiations that are happening right now, as the Ukrainians are saying, we're not going to give up any territory. Sorry, we're just not going to do it. This is what's at stake here right now. And if they don't give up any specific territory, Donald Trump's going to walk away. The United States no longer will be supporting Ukraine. And when that happens, it's going to be a very bad day for Slavic people, Slavic men, as Donald Trump recently also had this to say about this entire situation, which I think is indicative of everything that we've been talking about, warning about for a very long time. The corporate media is like, the Russians and their meat waves attacks. The Russians are losing. The Russians are going to lose here any time now. Any moment. The ghost to Kiev. Look at that. The ghost to Kiev. Yeah. 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 And I'm like, the corporate media is full of ish. All right? The corporate media is lying. Lying through their teeth. And through their lies, what are the results of it? A Ukrainian people that are screwed over by their government and their propagandists that have forced them and pushed them in the situation and said, you know what? We got your back no matter what. And then, nah, not so much. Not so much, guys. Do our dirty work, Ukraine. We want you. And this is what the Europeans are doing. The UK government and the Russian government are at odds with each other. And the UK government's like, come on, Ukraine, keep fighting them. Keep fighting them. When they know, listen, it's a horrible conflict there. And to gaslight and to try to push someone smaller, to take down someone bigger because you don't want to fight someone bigger yourself, is a kind of pathetic action by the UK government. And the onus is on a lot of these European countries that are pushing and propelling this conflict into these grave new levels that are absolutely stupid and ridiculous. And Donald Trump ushers these same kind of similar statements.
But that's a war that should have never been allowed to start. And Biden could have stopped it, and Zelensky could have stopped it, and Putin should have never started it. Everybody's to blame.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, sir, about his offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries?
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles, you know. He's against, listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles.
Listen, that right there is the truest statement that I think people need to realize here more than ever. You don't start a war and then hope people give you missiles. That's just not the way to do it. It's not a strategic war. You don't start a war that you think you could win. Most wars start with countries that think that they could win here. That's why the Thucydides trap between China and the United States is so dangerous here, because China is building up their military infrastructure. Now, there's a lot of different things at play here. There's a lot of different things that are intertwined, including Iran, including China. There's also now things sparking off between Pakistan and India. I did not have time to address that in this particular video, but I'm going to be addressing it in future videos. So subscribe, click the notification button, come out to Range Day. Range Day is going to be so fun, May 4th. Truly a really awesome experience that I cannot recommend enough. That really is next level type of stuff that you won't get anywhere else. LukeUnfiltered.com. Subscribe, click the notification button here on this particular broadcast. And again, I think one thing that we should be left with here is just praying for peace, praying for cooler minds to prevail here, praying for life to be cherished and saved. One could only wish. All we are left with is our prayers here. We've seen this situation be grossly mismanaged. We've seen this situation be escalated to such grave, nefarious, evil purposes. And again, say what you may. It's all nonstop nonsense on the corporate media. The corporate media is like, Trump's bad. Trump said he would do this on day one. He didn't do it. And then in the same news segment, and I just watched this, and it's so infuriating. In the same news segment, they're like, you know, Trump, he's got to screw over the Ukrainians because he's going to walk away from peace. I'm like, listen here, no matter what, you're always going to see Donald Trump as wrong here. Okay. That's not objective. That's not fair. If you thought I did a fair job, share this video. If you think I could do a better job, let me know how down in the description below. I love you guys. Pray for peace. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.